Good day, dear colleagues. I'm glad to welcome you here at this event. Today, the deputy head of Roskomnadzor was to be here, Maxim Tsenzov, who is actually supervisor and monitors issues on the application of the law 139 on information technologies and information protection, for Article 15 and other enactments regulating or related to protection of children, of the information damaging their health or development, and the administration of Roskomnadzor do ask for an excuse that this deputy head is not here, because being present here is a top. There is lots of interesting topics in here, and it's quite interesting to listen to this discussion, to participate in those discussions, which are actually related to the activity of our service. So today I would like to talk about Roskomnadzor and other state agencies implementing Law 139 and about the problems which state agencies actually faced during the last 6 months. And as a result of the discussion and review of those issues, Roskomnadzor actually developed recommendations on limiting access to the sites with banned information and regarding the regulation of these issues or legal regulations of these issues. So I'd like to talk about those recommendations, and I would like to listen to your opinion on the issue. So, as I said, the federal law 139 was actually adopted on information technologies and information protection, information security, and it stipulated introduction of the state registry websites with prohibited information. The objective of this registry is to identify websites and internet containing information which is prohibited to be spread in the Russian Federation. And the law stipulates that the registry operators that could be either the Roskomnadzor or any other organization which could be selected according to the criteria stated by the government of the Russian Federation. At the moment, this organization has not yet been assigned, and Roskomnadzor still functions as a registry operator, and I will describe it later on in more details. So besides Roskomnadzor, this federal law 139 has been implemented with participation of Rospotrebnadzor and Federal Service on drug trafficking and circulation. And there are some organizations regulated with different types of information. So Roskomnadzor, they supervise issues on pornography and children pornography, Rospotrebnadzor on personal suicides, and Federal Drug Control Service, they actually work on, let's say, on protection from drug trafficking and drug sales. So initially, since the time the registry has been launched, we have more than 4,100 actually. So we have more than 45,000 of, so to say, notifications. And first day we had more than 4,100 requests. They have been, and all those requests were processed, and it was decided whether to ban this website or not. Whether there's, so I will tell you how the system works. So for the state agencies to start processing the information, there should be an application. The application should be submitted from citizens who actually are aware of this information or who are somehow affected with this information. After this request to this website, zapret-info.gov gov.ru. Then after that, this request goes to the operator center, operator processing center, and so those applications are distributed into their type. So they process these documents, or so to say, place those requests into three groups. I mean, child pornography, or suicide propaganda or drugs, and all those requests are old filters are not processed by the state organs if they're used, for instance, as a commercial, so to say, as a means to fight with their commercial partners. Then those documents, those requests are delivered to appropriate, to relevant agency, and those agencies, they examine this request. They have experts on the issues. In Roskomnadzor, they have experts, medics, and specialists in culture. So they define if this or that page of the website contains information advocating for or distributing child pornography. The same goes with Rospotrebnadzor or Federal Drug Control Service. If this information is confirmed, then the decision is made and the data is provided to Roskomnadzor. So Roskomnadzor is an operator who actually conducts all those technical actions to introduce this entry into the registry. I mean, if it was or if it has been decided that the information is prohibited, then Roskomnadzor has to introduce this entry into this URL into entry. They do not analyze the content because this content has been analyzed by another agency, by another public agency. So, and there are only 3 days for such procedure are allocated. So in 3 days, if the information has been confirmed, the entry is introduced into the registry. That's it. So. Then afterwards, after the URL of the web page has been introduced into the registry, the hosting provider is notified that at the particular page of the website, some prohibited information has been, or illegal information has been detected, and there is a suggestion to ask the owner of the resource to remove this information, or they should remove this information by themselves. And then, if within 3 days this information has not been deleted, then it launches the procedure of introduction of this entry into the registry. I mean, the IP address is introduced into the registry. And that's the most hotly discussed issue. So you can see the condition of the resource last week. So mostly the registry contained entries on resources related to drug distribution. There are quite a lot of them, comparing to child pornography and suicide. So there are more than 2,200 entries on drugs have been we have been in the registry. So that's a problem of considerable social significance, and we see that through internet in real time drugs can be distributed, and this activity is at least an attempt to limit such phenomenon. And we can say that as a result of this registry, it has been found that majority of hosting providers or owners of resources, they prefer to remove the illegal content without any communications with Roskomnadzor. So such the response is quite fast, and the content is removed. And in particular, large market players, large market actors, they respond the best on such notifications, and such companies like Mail, Kontakte, Смотри, Yandex, Одноклассники, Google, YouTube, and others. And I would like to stress, to emphasize that the URL entry is not yet it doesn't mean blocking of the website. So when the URL is in the registry, then hosting provider is just notified on the issue, and only in case of no response, then IP is blocked. So the procedure seems to be quite reasonable. And to assess, to so to say, to see what is done by the operator, we see that these entries into the registry not only introduced, but also they are removed from the registry. So once information is removed or blocked, once this illegal information is blocked or removed, then the operator actually removes those entries from the registry. And you can see that on a monthly basis, this introduction and removal, they more or less the same in their, so to say, magnitude, order of magnitude, which were the problems of Roskomnadzor and Rospotrebnadzor, which were the issues they faced. That's what we hear in mass media. These are cases of over-blocking. They're related to the following. As you might know, that one IP address might contain or might have two or more, up to 1,000 websites, among which 999 are, so to say, goodwill ones, and only one should be blocked. And so it's quite clear that people are really not pleased with the situation, and actually it's well justified. So when the access is blocked, the access to the normal websites is blocked without any grounds. What is it related to? We think that the communication operators, they select the simplest way for access limitation, I mean IP blockage. And regulatory documents never said that IP should be blocked. There is a bit of different statement there. It is said that the operators, the register operator, introduce entries after those 3 days post notification, after 3 days of no response, when hosting provider or resource owner should remove this banned content, then the entry on IP address is brought into the table, into the registry. But the operators usually think that they should block, they should use IP blockage to block to limit the access to that resource. And another considerable problem that it's possible to avoid this blockage. I mean, those measures on access limitation, they could be easily, so to say, you could easily, so to say, avoid this blockage. You could use proxy, or you could change, or this resource could change its IP address. That's why, so to say, getting away with from this problems, from the blocking, and those issues are of concern not only for public, are of concern not only for wide public, but also for Roskomnadzor. And it's an article which was published by Roskomnadzor. It's a review on existing methods for access management to internet resources and guidelines on their application. And this website says discuss the issues about the access management techniques and the methods used in the Russian Federation, taking into account the, so to say, current realities. So this document is at the website of Roskomnadzor, and it is there to show the industry that that's a problem not only for us, but also for state agencies, for public agencies, so to say, enforcing this law. And agencies, they also do not want to see any negative consequences. The other thing is that these public agencies, they actually have to enforce the law. But they want, they wish that those provisions of the law should be implemented in an effective way without such cases like over blockage of, so to say, normal website. And recently, recently it has been suggested that we should develop, with wide public should develop the most appropriate way to apply the law provisions. Now I would like to talk about those, so to say, guidelines. In this document, it says, the document which I mentioned said that the communication operators, they have a different approach to law implementation, as they use mostly IP blockage, which actually results in over blockage of legal, so to say, bona fide resources. And in this study, this work considers 3 ways of blockage of websites. So it's a network blockage, infrastructure blockage, and the blockage at the connection point from the user side. So, and it was a study on of several ways of implementing of the law. So the results of the study shows that all methods possess different risks: financial risks, then production risk for overblocking of legitimate resources, and reputational risks for the country as a whole. And none of the blocking methods is absolutely effective. And this knowledge, this information has been provided in a systematic way in the document, and now it is quite clear that none of the blocking method is 100% effective. So what should we do? Which method to choose? Which method to use? Well, when defining accessible or appropriate methods of blocking, we should take into account internet architecture. And according to the study, the most adequate blocking method is blocking in connection points. And from practical point of view, blocking, URL-based blocking with preliminary separation of requests on IP addresses seems to be the best, the preferential, the most preferred one, which is fast, not that expensive, and with a minimum side of negative consequences. So where we should actually set the block. So according to the study, the blocking should be conducted at the internet access providers working directly with end customers, with end users. IP blocking is not recommended, and as I said already a couple of times, this blocking method results in considerable over-blocking and several other negative consequences. Infrastructure blocking, DNS-based blocking at the level of authoritative service and registries could be used as an additional blocking method, both at the moment and in the future. The most important thing which I would like to express, that DPI use is not recommended. Not in the mic, I'm sorry. The comment is not in the mic. The comment is not in the mic. The comment is not in the mic. Dear colleagues, the blocking is not in the mic. I know that it's a very highly emotional issue. It's a heart-burning issue for you. But let the representative of Roskomnadzor to finish the presentations, and there will be time for questions. So yes, please continue. So DPI is not recommended for use. In general, implementation of the Federal Law 139 can facilitate a number of cases of violations in Internet. But we should say that Roskomnadzor understands that in any case, we need to have a complex set of measures, a whole set of measures on implementing the policy for lessening number of violations in all spheres of life, including Internet. But Internet actually reflects our realities. So without complex approach, without combined approach, nothing can be actually effectively performed and done, so to say. So main approach is to limit access to Internet resources with illegal information. Blockage should be conducted by providers providing, so to say, licensed communication services. Blockage should be provided only at the access networks. It should not. It shouldn't affect infrastructure, Internet elements, meaning backbone networks and others. Overblocking should be minimized, and element of blocking list should be URL. Technologies of blocking suggested for discussion is as follows. With the following steps should be conducted. So to say, finding the common domain part of the name from the URL translation with the request into the to DNS request of the domain name into IP address, then creation and distribution through the routing system of the private special route for this IP address, transferring routing this traffic into special analyzing segments, analyzing of the traffic through special analyzing server. Find your request to URL contained in the blocking list, and destruction or rerouting of those requests into a special page notifying on the blockage, and routing the traffic which is not under the blocking requirements from the analyzing segment of the network to the main network and further into the Internet. So this solution is not some kind of a dogma. People who thought about this federal law, they thought about that, they studied the international experience, and they make the following conclusions. So that's why Roskomnadzor on a daily basis, they have meetings with hosting providers, with communication operators, and Roskomnadzor actually listens to their opinion on possibility to implement such an approach. So this approach is under discussion, and the agency actually would like to call the industry to dialogue, to present or to submit their suggestions, which will be taken into account. And in the nearest future, I think tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, we're going to launch special Internet resource to discuss those guidelines or recommendations of Roskomnadzor, where all stakeholders will have a chance to leave their suggestions and to follow up so to say, the way those guidelines or recommendations develop. Thank you. I would like to thank our speaker. So, I cannot answer complex technical issues. Regretful, our speaker is not really a technical person. So maybe you have some organizational issues about the interaction with Roskomnadzor, so please come to the public mic. I have my question of organizational type. You mentioned that Roskomnadzor actually introduced about 40 resources with child pornography at this register. It is by some point of time. And could you tell me, please, what Roskomnadzor is doing not only to block such resources, but also to transfer this information to law enforcing agencies? Because we don't know child abuse is a real life crime. So are you doing something, do you somehow interact with Interpol or with police or other law enforcement agencies? Well, I don't know about the outcomes of with these materials, but I know that this information on child abuse, on child pornography, these materials, they actually are transferred to Ministry of Internal Affairs. But though we don't know any results, but we know for sure that the results are passed to law enforcement agencies. We'll ask you to come to the next ENOG conference, and hope you will have the results. Viktor Safronov. Once the talk started about the new law, it was a general panic. It was general panicking. Everybody was afraid of it, and I was not that panicking, because by that time we had this problem. The law on counteracting the extremist activity, and the articles there said that it is prohibited to spread extremism materials through electric communication channels. So prosecutor office, they have their own understanding. We have our own understanding. So what's the Roskomnadzor understanding? So I like this law because it at least assumed some ways on interacting with Roskomnadzor. But what should we do with extremism? As far as I know, the materials in the network are considered to be related to extremism. They could be regarded as extremist. They could be considered as extremists due to the law, due to the court, by the court decision. But as far as I know, prosecutors is a none of the prosecutor office, not the prosecutions have been brought to court, and is any. So the question is: these three categories: child porn, suicide, and drugs. They want to expand this list with data and extremism data. So they want to suggest to add the register with another two entries or type of entries. So maybe there should be the issues against the violence to animals. But again, okay, great. Let's go on with that. I have a couple of questions. Okay, may I? Okay, do you use in your activity for instance, according to extremist material, if there is some website, there is information which has been considered extremist, it should be blocked. So do you use some so if there is such a practice to the use of such conclusions in your practice, such decisions in your practice, I mean, there is such a resource which has been considered as advocating or distributing drugs. There was a conclusion, but there could appear second, third, 10th resource with the same information. So do you block it by default, so to say? No, as far as I know, this approach is not being used. For to be brought to be entered into this registry, there should be decision of the expert. They might use decision or not, but still, we're out of time. So let other person ask a question. But I give one very short question. So I do like what you said. That about the drugs propaganda, drugs distribution. There's a wide range of topics and issues, but are there any limitations? Federal Drug Control Service is responsible for these issues, and so they have a special list, and they have a list of prohibited drugs, prohibited bioactive agents, and if this drug is consists of this list, then automatically this website, this web page should be blocked if this drug is mentioned. Dmitry Morozovsky, I don't have any question, but kind of an observation actually. It's kind of a comment. It's so since this system of automatic monitoring of this register has been produced, I never saw an entry which will containing so all the entries there contained all three fields. I mean, so you said that first you introduce URL into the registry, then IP address is introduced only when the hoster does not respond. But I see all the entries also. But when I look at those entries, they contain all URL and IP all the time. But the question is, what is the responsibility for ignoring the law and not doing anything technical? It's like a license violation fine. So meaning what? What happens? So what goes? You could register as a communication service provider in Russia, but now let's thank our speaker and let's give a floor to the next one. Thank you.